Hi, my name is Marek Rudak. I'm a love proficiency coach. Thank you so much for joining me here in my YouTube channel. First of all, apologies for the lighting. I guess the the sun it's making its rounds throughout the year, and it just so happens that this time of day it's really hitting me hard from my window. But hey, I'm not gonna let that stop the video recording. My commitment to make a video every week. So today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about the practical side of an article that is linked right below called "The Day I Became a Man." And the example I'd like to use is actually pretty unorthodox, but hey, that seems to be my style. And the example I'd like to use is my experience as a small group facilitator last weekend on a confirmation retreat. Fantastic retreat. We had close to 200 teens come in, and hey, I've been a teen, so I knew exactly how it goes, and I know that the vast majority of these kids did not want to be there. I remember as a teen, I did not want to be there either, and I remember a lot of my uh, colleagues expressing the same frustrations, like, why do I have to be here? But the interesting thing was is that on Sunday we had an opportunity to for the teens to share their testimonies, and I expected at least a couple of kids come up and say that hey they really enjoyed the experience, but I was stunned. I mean, it was like a line of folks, one by one, just kept lining up and saying that hey, I really hated my parents for sending me, but having said that, I'm so glad I came because I experienced this, that, and the other, and it really touched me in a way that I've never experienced God before. And I try to like listen to what the reasons behind it was, and obviously it's varied from person to person. But I think that what it really came down to is that for the first time in their lives, these kids actually had an opportunity to spend an entire weekend with God. So, for example, they would go to church before, but this time it was actually a longer period of time, and they experienced things like being prayed over. That's something that a lot of the teens did not experience, and they felt transformed by that. It was just very touching for them to be prayed over and feel that release of this negative energy in their life, or the adoration, where the teens prayed for about an hour, and this is something that is by far the longest time they prayed before. And so finally they gave enough space for God to come into their lives and have them experience what it is like to put themselves in the hands of God. And so where this really came into play for me is, as I mentioned in this article, like that to me the definition of becoming a man is making that transition from relying on self to relying on God. And I'm not naive to think that hey, this is it and they're gonna be changed forever, but it planted that seed, it planted that experience. And I think that especially for me, what I've noticed is when I made that transition from relying on self to relying on God, that's not necessarily when things became peachy, but that's the moment that I felt alive, and it made all the difference. And so kind of like once you get that natural high experience, it's really hard to walk away from that. Obviously you'll make mistakes, things will change, but you will always tend to gravitate to that experience because nothing compares to that joy and peace of putting yourself in the hands of God and seeing the miracles that happen when you do that, the miracles that could have never happened if you try to do on your own. And so, my friends, the challenge that I have for you, or opportunity, if you will, is if there's something out there that you feel called to do, whether it's retreat or, for example, joining one of the fire teams from the advance, but in your logical mind, it doesn't feel like you have the time or you have bigger responsibilities at play. I really urge you to consider taking that step of faith. I know it's not easy, but take that small step of faith and make that small switch from relying on self to relying on God, whatever that may be, whether it's through a retreat or perhaps a fire team that we formed through Advance. And if you don't know what the fire team is, please contact me. I'll gladly explain it to you. So, my friends, please take that step of faith. Let me know how it goes. And until next time, God bless and talk to you soon.